Hey, my little sinners and saints. On this video, we're going to do a little something different because you know me, I'm always switching it up. We're going to talk about some haunted cemeteries, and I'm going to show you some pictures of famous people's graves. Um, One of the cemeteries is actually from some of these graves. Not all these graves are from Hollywood Forever Cemetery, so just sit back and enjoy. This is St. Louis Cemetery number one. It's New Orleans, Louisiana. The oldest cemetery in New Orleans dates back to 1789 when, because of concerns about the spread of disease, it was established outside the city's fortifications. Burials are intentionally below ground, but the constant threat of flooding and the notorious high water table prompted the local government to stipulate in 1803 that all interments had to be above ground. Among the maze-like cemeteries, defining features are its oven vaults, which are walls of graves stacked on top of each other like drawers in a filing cabinet. The lower portions of the mausoleum's bottom rows are no longer visible because New Orleans is slowly sinking. The area actually sits on a few feet below sea level. Among the notable grave sites is St. Louis Cemetery number one are the tombs of both the first mayor of New Orleans as well as the city's first African American mayor, Ernest Morrill. Another crypt safeguards the remains of Homer Plessy, who was the plaintiff in the milestone 1896 Supreme Court decision that upheld the constitutionality of segregation based on the principles of separate but equal. There also is a famous grave that is so far still unoccupied in 2010. Actor Nicolas Cage, then 46, purchased a white 9-foot pyramid in the center of the cemetery for his future resting place. Blank and featureless, save for the Latin inscription Omnia ab uno, meaning everything for one. The enigmatic mausoleum has become a popular stop of the tours of the graveyard. Perhaps the most famous permanent resident of the St. Louis Cemetery number one is Maria Laveau. Laveau. The voodoo lady, Laveau. Why am I not saying that right? Laveau, Marie Laveau, who, when she died, was at the age of 80 in 1881, who was reputed to be the voodoo queen of New Orleans. A free woman of color, Laveau was a hairdresser and a nurse who was renowned for only her wisdom, but also for her skill at treating physical ailments with herbal remedies. A memorial in her hometown, Times Picayune newspaper made no mention of the voodoo, though there was a plaque on her tomb taunting her connections to black magic and the occult. According to the legend, Laveau's ghost, did you hear that, Laveau? His ghost will grant wishes made to those who believe. In violation of the law, mark her tomb with three X's. Visitors have reported all manner of supernatural experiences there, including mysterious touches, sudden illnesses, and voices coming from inside the tomb. Okay, the next one is Hollywood Forever Cemetery. This sprawling graveyard opened in 1899 as Hollywood Cemetery. It's originally covered 100 acres, but the association that owned it sold some of its land in 1916 to the Partula Studios. A decade later, the property was purchased by Paramount Studios, which Abut is Abuts, the cemetery south side, and the park now sits on a manicured 62 acres. It is Christian Hollywood Memorial Park Cemetery in the late 1930s. In 1998, after nearly falling into bankruptcy and closing its gates, it was reborn under the current name. There are more than 80,000 souls buried in the Hollywood Forever Green sculpted grounds, including some of the brightest stars of Tinseltown's golden age. Among the biggest names are director Cecil B. DeMille and John Huston, and actors Douglas Fairbanks, Judy Garland, Tyrone Power, Fay Wray, and Rudolph Valentino, whose 1926 funeral was disrupted by the crowds rushing police lines trying to grab pieces of the flower arrangement sent in tribute of the Manatee Idol. Matinee Idol. God, I'm an idiot. Other notable grave sites belong to two of the founding members of the Ramones, guitarist Johnny Ramone and Dee Dee Ramone, as well as the mobster Bugsy Siegel. And beneath a small marker by the man-made lake of the cemetery's east side lies the body of the 25-year-old actress Virginia Rapp, don't know, whose death in 1921 at the hotel party in San Francisco led to manslaughter charges against the popular comedic actor Roscoe Fatty Arbuckle. The silent screen star was eventually acquitted in 1922, but the incident destroyed his career. Hollywood Forever Cemetery is reputed to be among the most haunted places in Los Angeles, and many of the apparitions and spirits of the famous residents. A wall that separates the graveyard from Paramount Studios lot has been said to be frequented by the ghost of Valentino, who has been spotted walking back and forth along the barrier. The studio itself is well acquainted with the supernatural. It's late, I'm tired, okay? So much that it has been nicknamed Paranormal Paramount. People who work there say that many of the hauntings at the studio have their own origins of the cemetery next door. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, and the last one we're going to read out, and then we're going to look at pictures, is Charter Street Cemetery in Salem, Massachusetts. Also known as Old Burial Point, Charter Street is one of the oldest cemeteries in the country. It opened its gates in 1637, just 7 years after the establishment of the Boston King Chapel burying ground. The earliest monument at the burying point is a simple slate headstone belonging to Dorothy Cromwell, who died in 1673. Prior to that, the grave markers have been made of wood, which decayed over the time. Among the 700 monuments at the Charter Street, which saw its last burial in 1894, are the remains of several significant historic figures. They include Richard Moore, the original pilgrim who came to America in 1620 at the age of 6 aboard the Mayflower, and Simon Bradstreet, the last governor of the Massachusetts Bay Colony. There are also several people buried in the cemetery who were directly involved with the most infamous incident in the history of the town, the Salem witch trials of 1692 and 1693. More than 200 people were accused of practicing witchcraft and made to stand trial. 30 were found guilty, 19 of whom, this is 14 women and 5 men, were hanged. John Hathorne, one of the proceedings' most influential judges, as well as the great grandfather of Nathaniel Hawthorne, author of The Scarlet Letter, is buried at the Charter Street. Another judge from the trials, Bartholomew Edney, is interred there. A small gravestone marks the final resting place of Mary Corey, the second wife of the local farmer Giles Corey. Mary died in 1684, 8 years before Giles was charged for being a witch. He refused to plead guilty and was executed in a field in 1692 by the method of pressing, during which heavy stones were placed on a plank of wood covering his body. 3 days after Giles' death, his third wife, Martha, was found hanged for witchcraft. None of the bodies of the executed are buried at the Charter Street. They were instead cast into an unmarked grave near the gallows where they were hanged. But it's believed that the spirits still haunt the resting place of the men who condemned them to death. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, these are some maps. Obviously, you can't see jack shit on these. I'm guessing that's Chris Cornell. I have no idea what that says, but I thought I'd throw it in there anyway. Okay, we have Natalie Wood up here, Roy Orbison, Dominic Dunn, Burt Lancaster, Dean Martin, Don Knotts. These are just some of the people I know. Rodney Dangerfield. If you know more of these people, good for you because I don't. May just don't know it. Okay, the first one we got here is Mickey Rooney. This is outside right before, I think it's actually a mausoleum that's off to the left if you're looking directly ahead of it. This is in the Forever Cemetery, Hollywood Forever. This is too, it's actually an island. I got another one of Burt Reynolds where there's actually a bust, so we'll look at another picture of that. Maybe I'm overlooking a stage name or something, but I don't know who that is. And then that's the Ramon guy. Like there's 1,000 pictures of him. Not sure I would be interested in that music. Um, Here's Valentino's. This is Toto out of The Wizard of Oz. Just know that this is not his actual grave. He was buried somewhere else, and then they put this up in that Hollywood Forever. Got John Wayne, Johnny Cash, June Carter Cash, Bruce Lee, Brandon Lee, and Merv Griffin. This is Anne's final resting place. This is Rose Burkage, John Tyler, Jefferson Davis, Sharon Tate and her child, Jane Mansfield, Judy Garland, Chris Cornell, Marilyn Monroe, Don Knotts, Mickey Rooney, Elvira. This is the Burt Reynolds one I was talking about. Excuse me. And these are some of apparently like celebrity singers and stuff. I didn't read them all. And then this is my favorite one, Estelle Getty. And then you got the old Warhol, Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, James Dean, Penn and Teller, John Ritter, Carol Connor. Some of y'all may know who that is. Stephen Ray Vaughan. And then these, I don't want to say my favorites, but kind of so. I mean, there's a lot of people that's buried in there that I like, but Bobby Christina Brown and Whitney Houston. Thank you for watching. I thought this would be an exciting little thing. No, not exciting, but something different. Thank you for joining me, and I will talk to you later.